Greetings to everyone. Today, we begin with questions and answers, where we will delve into various aspects that many have been asking about. I will explain in detail, covering all angles, so that we can all gain a comprehensive understanding and resolve any lingering doubts. Both questions and answers are merely thoughts arising as words that we speak and hear. These are mental formations, conditioned phenomena. We live amidst these mental constructs constantly, but who among us can truly see them for what they are? Do we realize why we are entangled in these mental constructs? It is because we have forgotten that we are the pure life element, the formless, unconditioned essence. We are that which is profoundly clear, utterly pure, without shape or form. Yet we remain unaware of this truth, instead clinging to the voice that speaks within, giving meaning to the fleeting body and mistaking it for our true self. We rely on the inner voice that speaks in our minds, and we also depend on the awareness that perceives sounds and sensations. But can we see that this awareness functions independently, that the voice is speaking on its own, that the thoughts are thinking on their own? Where is the self in all of this? Let the mind itself answer. Whenever you hear this teaching, turn your attention inward and observe carefully. Who is the one aware right now? Who is the one speaking within? Observe this at any moment, whether awake, working, or asleep. If you truly see it, if you truly understand, a sudden realization will burst forth. You will come to know that you are the pure life essence, the untainted element, and you will weep uncontrollably, for you will finally understand how we have been lost, trapped in thoughts and conditioned perceptions, unaware that we are the formless, clear, and utterly pure essence all along. We will come to know that the world element shatters and disintegrates from the mind. We will realize that we have never truly been born into this world. It was all just a dream. This dream we have been dwelling in will collapse entirely, dissipating like mist. In that moment, we will awaken suddenly and realize that all along we were dreaming. Now, let's turn to the questions. I will read through them one by one. Many members have submitted their questions, and I will explain them in detail, so listen attentively. The questions touch on a variety of aspects, and I hope they resonate with you all. For those who have listened to my recordings and experienced a state of awakening, where the mind becomes finely attuned and a profound realization arises, you may still have lingering doubts. If there are aspects that remain unclear or unresolved, feel free to type your questions and send them to the channel Panyawi Muti. Members will gather the questions and I will respond with a detailed explanation, structured as a Q&A session, addressing each topic as it arises. The purpose is to help clear any remaining doubts, so that we can finally put an end to all questions. Remember, the voice that formulates a question is just a thought. Recognize it for what it is, a thought arising on its own. The inner voice, the mental dialogue, has no true self. Anyone who can clearly see this will experience a sudden realization, a profound breakthrough. Whatever question you feel compelled to ask, if you can observe it deeply and see that it is merely a thought, a moment of insight will flash forth. Those who are about to ask a question, look closely. There is no self here. It is the thought thinking itself, the doubt doubting itself, and the answer answering itself. The moment you see this clearly, the sense of self vanishes, and all that remains is a vast empty awareness. When this happens, you will feel as if you have lost everything. You will understand. So, go ahead and type your questions, especially those subtle doubts that prevent you from fully awakening to the truth. Remember, both questions and answers are just thoughts, mere sounds that we utter and hear. These mental states are simply conditioned phenomena arising temporarily. Who among us can truly see that these things are not who we are? We are all formless, pure, clear life elements, yet we do not realize this. Instead, we cling to the inner voice, believing it to be ourselves. We identify with the body, thinking it is who we are. But in truth, we have never truly inhabited this body. We are merely inhabiting the thoughts and mental states that arise within it. When we can clearly see that the voice is speaking on its own, that the thoughts are thinking on their own, the sense of self will dissolve instantly. The mind will burst open with profound realization. We will see that the entire world is but a dream we mistakenly believed to be real. When the mind awakens, we will understand that everything we once thought was me was nothing but a crumbling illusion. Therefore, if you have any questions, send them to the channel Tepanya Vimutti. I will gather them and explain each one in detail so we can all reach a state of clarity and liberation. Remember, the inner voice is not who we are. It is just a thought, a conditioned phenomenon. Observe it clearly, and the realization will arise on its own.
How can we truly know that we have awakened to the mind?
Think of it like this, when we finish a meal and feel full, how do we know that we are genuinely full? When we learn to drive, how do we know that we can truly drive? When we feel happy, how do we know that we are truly happy? It is natural knowing, isn't it? It arises from within, an intuitive awareness that naturally perceives. This awareness functions on its own, and from that natural perception, understanding emerges. Now the question arises, how do we know that we have truly awakened to the mind? It begins with clearly seeing that the body is not the mind. The body is certainly not the mind, right? Next, the mind itself must accept this truth not merely as a thought or a memory, but as a direct and undeniable realization. When the mind genuinely accepts this, tears may flow. It is a profound awakening, as if we have opened our eyes inwardly and suddenly hear the voice that speaks in our mind. For instance, imagine thinking, I want to eat pizza, I want a burger, I want spaghetti. In that moment, we see that the mind is merely assigning value to these thoughts. Then another thought arises, my leg hurts. We observe this thought, my leg hurts, and realize that the mind is again assigning meaning to sensations. Then the realization deepens. The hand doesn't speak, but there is a voice that says, this is my body. Tears may stream down as the mind comes to a startling understanding. The body we have been identifying with is not truly ours. It is only a concept fabricated by the mind, assigning meaning to sensations and forms. This is the realm where mental fabrications assign meaning to physical phenomena, where mental constructs create the illusion of me and mine. And when we see through this illusion, the sense of being a human being disintegrates. Even our notions of parents, trees, earth, and sky, all are recognized as mere thoughts. It is as if we are floating in space, weightless and unanchored, feeling a strange emptiness we have never known before. The realization continues as we watch the mind work. Emotions arise and fall away. Happiness, suffering, calmness, each appearing and then disappearing on its own. Nothing stays. A moment ago there was happiness, now it is gone. A moment ago there was suffering, now it is gone. We wish the suffering would stay away longer, but it doesn't. We wish happiness would last, but it too vanishes. The mind keeps assigning meaning, but we see clearly now that it is just a flow of mental constructs like waves rising and falling in the ocean. The inner voice keeps speaking, but it is not ours. The images, the sounds, the memories, they appear and dissolve without any true self behind them. Then a deeper insight arises. Who is it that knows all this? The voice keeps speaking, the emotions keep arising, but there is a profound recognition. There is no one here. It hits like a thunderclap. Tears flow as we realize we have never been born into this world as we once thought. We see that we were never truly here. Some people may cry for 3 days and nights in this realization, overwhelmed by the boundless emptiness and liberation. For others, it is a brief but shattering moment of awakening. In that state, hunger vanishes, and there is only a profound sense of fulfillment and boundless clarity. The realization settles deep within. We have never been human. We were only dreaming. Now, we awaken to the truth that we are the pure, empty life essence, boundless, clear, untouched by all mental and physical phenomena. We see that we have never been born, and thus we will never die. We are the pure element that pervades the entire universe, the unconditioned and undying awareness that remains unstained by thought, form, or feeling. This is what it means to truly awaken to the mind. It is a knowing without words, a recognition beyond language. It is the awareness that we are not the body, not the mind, not even the one who knows. We are the pure, clear essence, the boundless, timeless life element, eternally present, eternally awake. This is the profound liberation, the supreme awakening that reveals the truth beyond all illusions.
Can one attain enlightenment through walking meditation or sitting meditation?
What defines practice? Is walking to the market considered walking meditation? Is sitting cross-legged, stretching the legs, or sitting in any posture considered practice? Is practice related to the body, or is it a matter of the mind? Where do we believe practice resides? Why do we practice? We practice because we feel suffering and want to escape it, right? But where does suffering truly reside? If we think suffering is external, then we practice externally. But what if suffering is within the mind? Do we understand that all suffering is in the mind? If we believe suffering is outside, we might run to another country to escape it. But once we're in another place, do we find that suffering has disappeared? And no, we encounter new suffering and we keep running. But where can we run? Suffering is within our minds. Therefore, we must practice within the mind. We must first understand that suffering arises in the mind. The cause of suffering is ignorance, not knowing that suffering is in the mind. This is the first point. The second point is not knowing what the mind truly is. And the third point is not knowing how to free ourselves from suffering. All of these arise from ignorance. We tell ourselves that suffering must be outside, so we start walking. But is walking related to practice? Is any physical posture we take considered practice? Is suffering located in the body? If this body were to die and no longer exist, where would suffering reside? Imagine the body no longer exists. Where would suffering be? It would still exist within the mind, right? Otherwise, why would the mind search for a new body to be reborn in? The mind continues to suffer, so it seeks a new body. This is because it still does not know. The cause of suffering is ignorance. Focus clearly on this point. What is suffering? The cause of suffering is undoubtedly ignorance, avidya. But the first point is to understand what suffering truly is. Suffering is mental fabrication. It is the stories and narratives the mind continuously creates moment by moment. Whatever mental formations arise in the mind, the inner voice that constantly speaks, the thoughts that echo in our minds, that is suffering. The mental images we conjure up are suffering. The emotions of happiness, sadness, indifference, or peace, these are suffering. Even memories are suffering. Ultimately, the awareness that is continuously perceiving, that too is suffering. If we do not recognize that all these things are suffering, we will never escape suffering. We rely on these things constantly. We are immersed in suffering all the time, yet we wish to escape suffering. How can we escape when we do not even know that the very things we rely on are suffering? The voice that speaks within, that is suffering. Even the deeply serene, subtle state of mind, that too is suffering. The feeling of neutrality, the feeling of agitation, all of this is suffering. These are all conditions, natural phenomena, mental fabrications, mental formations. Whenever the mind depends on mental formations, it clings to them, identifying with them as self. The mind does not know itself because it is always attached to these mental fabrications. The mind cannot know itself as long as it is dependent on these conditions. Do you understand? It is simply a matter of not knowing. So, to answer the question, walking meditation or sitting meditation is not the point. Meditation does not necessarily require sitting or any physical posture. Meditation is about establishing a firm and stable mind. When we awaken to the inner state of awareness, this is the foundation of mindfulness, satipatthana. We observe the thoughts, emotions, sensations, and memories arising within. This is citta anupassana, satipatthana. When we are awakened within and can see these mental formations, the inner voice speaking, the thoughts arising on their own, the emotions, the perceptions, the memories, They all function by themselves. None of them are truly self. They are not me. They are not mine. This is seeing Dhamma in Dhamma. Dhamma Anupasana Satipatthana. When we are awakened within, there is a natural stability that arises. There is virtue, sala, mindfulness, sati, concentration, samadhi, and wisdom, panya. In truth, they are all one and the same. While awakened within, this is virtue. Perfect virtue arises naturally because the mind does not wander outward, does not harm anyone, remains stable, awake, and aware. It sees the mental formations within, the inner voice, the mental images, the emotions, the sensations of awareness rippling within. It sees them, acknowledges them, and lets them go without grasping or clinging. This is the answer. It is not about walking or sitting, it is about the mind. Suffering arises in the mind because of ignorance. The mind is deluded and clings to its own mental formations. Therefore, we must bring the light of wisdom to the mind. When the mind awakens to the truth, it no longer clings to any mental formation because it knows that all these formations are suffering, are part of the cycle of becoming, the realm of birth. They are like a blazing fire. If we do not leap into the fire, we are free, simply recognizing that the fire is merely burning on its own, that is all.
What is the state of the mind after death? And how can one prevent being reborn?
The mind after death, what dies? Let me ask first, what dies? Let's say the body dies in terms that humans can understand. The body ceases to function, we call that death. The heart stops beating, and once the body is cremated, what remains? What remains is the mind and its conditioned states. We can call it the spirit or consciousness, a combination of the mind and the mental formations that it has created to encase itself. We are now encased in these mental formations, just as we are currently encased in the sound of my voice, in mental images, emotions, sensory perceptions, and memories. We are wrapped in these conditioned states, the mental fabrications. This is what we call the spirit. Yet, the true essence of the mind itself is pristine, clear, and pure. To use an analogy, it is like a bubble encapsulating emptiness. The clear empty space inside the bubble is the mind. But the bubble itself is created by the mind through thoughts, images, emotions, and sensory perceptions, just like the voice that is speaking now. The mind constructs this bubble of mental fabrications. Once the bubble forms, it can perceive, vibrate, and ripple. These vibrations manifest as sound, images, and emotions, all arising from the mental bubble. The rounded form of this bubble, this is what I refer to as the spirit or consciousness. The mind comes to dwell in a body to learn that it is the pure, formless essence. But instead of learning, it gets lost in identifying with the body. When it is born as a crab or a sea creature, it believes itself to be that being. When it is born as a land animal, an insect, or a bird, it believes itself to be that being. When it is born in another realm, it believes itself to be that form as well. And no one ever teaches us that we are the mind, the pure formless life element. So, what exactly are we? Once we inhabit this human form, we say we are human. Before that, we said we were a frog, a worm, a centipede, or an earthworm. Now we say we are human again. What exactly are we? Our minds are still shrouded in ignorance, encased in mental formations, clinging to conditioned states, and seeking new bodies in which to express and learn further. Consciousness seeks out vessel, small, large, refined, or coarse. It eventually finds this human vessel, which we call the human body. This is the most ideal vessel for awakening and realizing the truth of the mind. This is the essence. The mind wants nothing more than to realize this truth. Now that we are in this human form, we identify as human because from birth, no one teaches us that we are the mind, the pure life element. Instead, we are told repeatedly that we are human, that we are a person. We learn to identify as a being, a human, an animal, a creature. We engage in eating, killing, hatred, anger, and revenge. We are taught to consume and destroy one another. Now, once we are in this vessel, the vessel stops functioning. The heart stops beating, regardless of the cause of death. The body was born to die. Yet, we foolishly desire this body to last forever. so that we can continue to identify with it to be this person. But we are not this person, we are the mind. Now, when the body ceases to function, where do we go? We seek a new body. The spirit seeks a new form. Why does it seek a new body? Because it still does not know that it is the pure, formless life element. We do not know that we are the pure essence. That's all. If we could understand, this voice arises from the mind. This voice is not me, I am the mind. Then the voice becomes insignificant. Let it speak. It has no value because it is not me. If we truly understand this, we can return to our original life element immediately. Now, the question of how to prevent rebirth, this is the key. Realize the truth of the mind. Observe closely. This body will die eventually. When the body dies, the mind will seek a new body. This indicates clearly that this body is not truly ours. If it were truly ours, why would we seek a new one? We don't care about the body itself. What we care about is using a body to continue learning about the mind. But we have already sought countless bodies over countless lifetimes through endless cycles. We tried being devas, thinking the deva realm was the best. We tried being brahmas, thinking the brahma realm was the best. We tried being humans, thinking the human realm was the best. Finally, we encounter a wise one who tells us, listen, every single one of you, regardless of age, gender, religion, nationality, or race, can realize the truth. You can all awaken and end the cycle of rebirth. To end the cycle of rebirth, listen to my tapes. Listen until my voice resonates within your mind constantly, reminding you, waking you up. Your life will feel lighter, more spacious. The more you listen, the lighter you will feel. The more you listen, the more you will release. Listen until you are free from the sense of being a person. Listen until you can see that you are not this voice, not the images in the mind, not the emotions, not the sensory perceptions. Listen to my teachings and observe within. Notice how the mind thinks on its own, how it perceives on its own. This is wonderful. You will feel light, spacious. Finally, the mind will explode, shattering all mental fabrications. That is the moment of liberation, the end of rebirth. Keep listening, keep awakening within. This is the essence. Keep observing as I have said. Make a firm resolution. This is my last life. I will not be reborn again.
Consciousness seeks its origin, its true home, yet it's trapped. What's stopping it?
Every consciousness wants to realize its own pure nature, but is unable to do so because of ignorance, not knowing simply because no one has pointed it out. That's all. The nature of all beings is that no one comes to point out the truth, so they cannot realize the mind. Thus, they cannot return home. Our minds are incredibly pure, like the vast empty space of the entire elemental universe. This purity is untouched by any fabrication. Our minds are unconditioned, clear, and still. They do not arise or cease. They are the immortal essence. The mind cannot be born and cannot die. But because the mind cannot know itself, it has to learn. It creates the capacity to perceive so that it can experience external phenomena. We can say that the mind creates a bubble to encase itself. Every time we strive to learn, we create fabrications. Ignorance veils us. Actually, it was already there. Let's use another term. The mind's ignorance, the lack of wisdom. We are inherently pure, but we lack wisdom and knowledge. Thus, we generate the capacity to perceive thoughts, images, emotions, mental formations. We construct a bubble to encase ourselves. Once we have created these conditioned states to encase ourselves, we live within these fabrications. The original empty space that is one with the universal element has now been obscured by these fabrications. Do you see? The emptiness inside the bubble and the emptiness outside the bubble are now separated. This is why we forget our true home. We become enshrouded by these fabrications. Now, since we have a physical body, we have form, the form of the subtle body. When we have form, we call it spirit or consciousness. The form can be anything, a deva, a human, or any other being. It manifests according to our memories, preferences, and attachments. We move to inhabit a human vessel and become attached to the idea of being human. That's the whole point. The mind forgets that it is the pure essence and becomes deluded, identifying itself as a human. Therefore, I am pointing this out to awaken you within. Observe that this body arises because we think. The fabrications attribute significance to the body, labeling it as me. This voice is what is speaking. The body itself is not speaking. The legs are not speaking. The arms are not speaking. It is the voice in the mind that says, "These are my legs, my arms." It is that simple. If you can see this clearly, the mind will suddenly break through, and tears may flow with the joy of realization. From that point on, remain awakened within and keep observing. This bubble that ripples as sound, images, and emotions, all of this is not us. The bubble will burst when the mind realizes the truth. When the bubble bursts, the pure, empty space inside merges with the vast emptiness of the universal element. Do you see? When this happens, that is returning home. Now we are still lost from our true home, trapped in the fabrications we have created. We keep constructing dimensions, the third, fourth, fifth, and so on. You can call them dimensions of form and name. We create these dimensions and then get trapped within them. Upon awakening, we see that all of these are not us, not ours. They are simply natural phenomena, without any self or true substance. They appear and dissolve on their own. Whoever can see this truth is freed. Listen to my teachings repeatedly. By doing so, you will easily come to realize the truth. I am explaining this thoroughly and clearly. The way to return home is to listen to the Dhamma that I am teaching. Just keep listening. Over time, you will understand. Suddenly, a profound realization will arise.
Why do we still get angry?
Let me ask you, why do things still taste delicious? Let's try eating something we like and ask ourselves, why does it still taste good? Have you ever noticed that? Why do we still laugh? It's the same thing. Why do we get angry? Why do we feel happy? Have you ever observed that? Why do we feel suffering? It's because we fabricate these experiences. The nature of water is to have waves. Why does it have waves? Because that is its natural state. Have you ever observed why we feel the urge to ask questions? Questions arise because we assign value and meaning to those emotions. Then we label them as anger. Then we feel that we don't want to be angry. Why are we angry? Let's ask ourselves, why are we happy? Why do we laugh? It's all the same. It is the nature of fabrication. It is what it is. Does anyone own these emotions? Do they have a self? Can you mold them into a tangible form and hand them to me? There is no self in them. There is no one who owns them. They arise and disappear on their own. Now, the feeling of laughter has disappeared. The feeling of annoyance has arisen again, and then it fades away. A feeling of neutrality appears and then disappears. A sense of calm seems to arise, but then vanishes again. Do you see this truth? This is the nature of things. They manifest as pleasant feelings, then as irritation, then as joy, then as suffering. Sometimes they manifest as positive thoughts, sometimes as negative ones. There is a constant process of mental fabrication. The nature of fabrication always has two poles, positive and negative, like the magnetic field of the earth. Our mind is like the earth, with mental fabrications revolving around it like electrons and protons. The negative pole fabricates anger, while the positive pole fabricates happiness, joy, and delight. The negative pole produces irritation, frustration, and turmoil. But there is another function that knows these two poles, the function of knowing. This function of knowing is also a kind of fabrication. Whenever the knowing grasps onto the negative pole, a sense of self arises. We say, "Why do I feel so much suffering?" When the knowing grasps onto the positive pole, the self arises again. "I feel so happy today." Why don't we ask, "Why am I so happy?" This is just how nature functions. When we realize that this nature is not us and not ours, that it simply exists as it is, then the knowing will no longer cling to either the positive or the negative. It will remain neutral, dwelling in the middle, without becoming anything. If we listen to the tapes I recorded over and over again, setting a firm resolution not to be reborn, not to cling to any mental formation, then simply follow this instruction. Do not grasp onto any state of the mind. Let go of thoughts, mental images, emotions, and any state of knowing. Just see them and let them pass without clinging. There is no self there, no true substance. They are illusions, fabrications of nature that simply are as they are. When we see that these fabrications are merely nature, existing as they are, not us and not ours, then we will feel light, free, and empty. There will be no state of being that persists throughout the entire year or lifetime. If we allow the mind to flow into thoughts, emotions will instantly arise. However, whenever we do not flow with the thoughts, the moment a thought arises, it will disappear instantly. The moment an emotion arises, it will vanish right away. Even though it appears, it doesn't truly exist. Even though it disappears, it doesn't truly cease to exist. It is all based on the process of assigning meaning, labeling it as arising or ceasing. But in truth, it is just a state of being as it is, without any label to define it. It is like when we sweep our gaze from left to right. Notice how the awareness is simply aware without assigning meaning. It is one unified field of knowing. Look carefully. Who can see this? Everything is merely an object known. This sound is just an object known. Mental images, emotions, they're all just objects known, and the one that knows. It is not us knowing. It knows by itself. This is the answer. Now, moving on. They may still feel anger, unable to restrain it, especially toward those close to them, whether it is someone close, someone far away, or no one at all. We can still suffer, fabricate anger, or feel irritation. Even when we are alone, we can feel lonely, bored, frustrated, or stressed. Do you see? Even when we are alone, emotions still arise. It doesn't matter if we are with others or alone. The underlying principle is the same. The key point is that we set up the feeling of knowing and focus on certain things. When we focus on thoughts, we get caught up in happy or sad stories. When we focus on emotions, we sink into positive or negative states. When we focus on anything at all, we get entangled with it. But if we have the wisdom to see what the mind is currently aware of and then let it go, we will recognize that what is being known is just being known, not by us. It is knowing by itself. We will naturally release everything. It will drop away on its own without any effort on our part. There is no need to practice or do anything. We only need to grasp this essential principle and truly understand it. That's it. Otherwise, we will keep dividing and attributing things to external causes, blaming the person we are with, the partner, the children, the parents. We will say we are angry or hateful or vengeful because of them. But that is not the truth. The truth is that it is the mind that is lacking wisdom.
What should we call nibbana element and core element?
It is merely a term used to convey to us that we are that pure essence so that we can realize and comprehend it thoroughly from every angle. That is all. Can it be proven? Listen to my tapes repeatedly and you will be able to verify it. How are nibbana element and core element different? If we are to explain it in terms of how Dhamma teachings are expressed in various ways by wise ones, those who are not wise will merely repeat the words from the scriptures. But those who are truly wise and have profound insight into Dhamma will use another kind of language. Why use different languages? It is to break our attachment to those very concepts. Even the Dhamma that is being expounded here, we must dismantle and let go of it as well. All dharmas are inherently non-self. They do not truly exist. They are merely fabrications used to communicate to us that these fabrications have no true self. Just like my mouth is speaking right now to tell you that the sound being spoken has no true self. To realize this is to be liberated. It's simple, isn't it? We rely on mental fabrications to learn about mental fabrications so that we may realize them and be free from them. We use this sound to learn about sound, to understand thoughts, to awaken to the nature of sound and thoughts so that we can be free from them. because the mind, or the pure life essence within us, or what we may call the core element or the nibbana element, or whether we call it the void element, the Dhamma element, whatever we choose to call it, its true nature is the original pure source that does not need sound. We rely on sound, but the essence of the mind does not need it. We rely on mental images to think, but the pure mind does not need mental images. We rely on emotions, joy, sorrow, calm. We dwell in them, sink into them. But the pure, empty, clear, and pristine life essence does not require emotions at all. Memory and perception are tools used for fabrication and learning. We rely on them, but the mind does not need them. The mind only requires knowledge. It creates these tools to acquire that knowledge. Once that knowledge is acquired, that's it. There is nothing more to do. Whoever understands this has nothing left to do. What we call it is not the point. Don't get caught up in names or distinctions. The method of delivering Dhamma teachings, from coarse to subtle, is structured in such a way to help us access the truth as quickly as possible, to realize it quickly, to end all doubt, to be free from suffering, and to transcend the cycle of birth and death. Even those who have realized Dhamma still differentiate the layers of wisdom. Each Buddha has a different degree of spiritual perfection. Why is there a difference when they are all equally pure? That is the nature of the explanation. The subtlety of the mind reflects the subtlety of wisdom, and the refinement of wisdom continues to deepen until the last essence that emerges to end the cycle of existence. Then no consciousness will have to be reborn ever again. The more profound the wisdom, the more refined the understanding. Thus, the characteristics of Nibbana element and core element are explained in ever more subtle terms to help us grasp the profound nature of Dhamma and to eliminate all remaining doubts. It is not about the method, nor about the form. That is true wisdom. I am declaring this knowledge to liberate all beings from the cycle of existence. The consciousness of all beings in the infinite universe is waiting for us to liberate them all. We must have power and profound knowledge to do this. And with that, I conclude for now. May all of you who incline your minds to listen, who aspire to be free from rebirth, awaken to the Dhamma, and attain liberation swiftly, may you all realize the truth without delay. If you're interested in these teachings on awakening, mind observation, and transcending suffering through wisdom, we'd love to hear your thoughts. Share your insights in the comments, provide productive feedback, and if you find this content valuable, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.